Hey guys, Analog Man here back for another late night deck profile, and as you can see from how I've laid out my mat and the fact that I have a little Hackmon figure here, we're talking about Jesmon, specifically my first place championship deck, essentially. So recently on the Wednesday of November, let's see, what was it? It was like November like ninth or whatever. Yeah, ninth. My local store had one last championship. We actually had a pretty decent turnout. We had about at least 11 people. It was pretty cool actually because normally we only get like maybe like 8, 9 people, but the fact that we got a little bit extra people, including somebody from the city as well, which was really cool. Um, so we actually ended up doing 3 rounds. It was pretty good actually. First round I ended up playing Armor Rush. Armor Rush was really tough. Game two, he actually got me with GX on GX. It was really insane, and he actually swung for game because of that, because of the Davis and Ken, which was really insane. Like I completely forgot about how that interaction genuinely works, but it was insane how powerful it was. Even though I had my GX out, I just couldn't block, which really sucked. But it's whatever. That's just how it is. Game two, I played a Jesmon Mirror. Honestly, I think it was for me what won me the game was the old BT5 uh, Bao Huckmon, because that card allowed me to swing and kill basically their one Blanc that granted every one of their sister mons, which was like 4 to 5 of them, blocker, and it allowed me to basically chip for enough damage to win the game, basically. It was insanely powerful. Honestly, if I didn't have that card at that moment, I would have probably lost the match, honestly. If I had had the other one that just boosted, the game would have probably, I honestly feel like it would have probably gone into a tie, because we actually went to game three, I believe, and it was just a really intense match. Um, Game three, it was actually against Wargreymon X, which is a deck I haven't seen in a while, so I kind of forgot how it worked a little bit. But then once I started seeing him building up and raising, I kind of played it a little bit cautious. I played it so that no matter what, even if he had the Digivolving, which he did not play, surprisingly, it was kind of the old red Pier build. So I was actually expecting the Digivolving, which is why I kept my guy in raising for a majority of it. Even though I would have gained the ability to attack unsuspended, I kind of just kept it there. Because I had a Genkumon X in the hand, so I would have been able to protect my guy no matter what. So it was just how it played out, but I won that 2-0. Honestly, it was also because my opponent did brick a bit, but this deck still managed to kind of like protect itself regardless, even with all that. So really solid deck, really powerful. And I actually, as of this recording, on Thursday, November 10, I actually did manage to also win my locals again the next day right afterwards. Though it was mainly because everybody was kind of playing for fun decks, but it was still kind of rough because here we did have EX3 legal for today, because it comes out tomorrow anyway, so it's whatever. So we ended up playing it, and I had to play against a kind of like Ragnalord, Gaomon, X Antibody Turbo deck. And then I had to play against a one of the new decks, the Four Holy Dragons deck, and that deck is really scary. But thanks to the Sistermon with Decoy, I managed to survive almost every removal. So I managed to keep my GX on board, and even with the -2 security from the new Magnadramon, he was still able to kind of chip for damage, mainly because I had the Savior Huck that allowed me to unsuspend if I had a Sistermon on board. That actually got me the game because I managed to chip through most of his security both times, and it was just pretty crazy. Anyway, let's get into the deck profile. My first, yeah. Anyway, let's get into the eggs. We are still running the 4 Gurimon. I don't know. It's just like after trying out all the other eggs with this deck, I like this the most because mainly it's because of the fact that no matter what, you get that extra draw, and that extra draw can always be a Sistermon or a GX or something. And this deck honestly feels way more powerful now with how much draw power it has compared to back in the day where you just kind of had to luck out with the red memory boost. The fact that the deck has so much access to searching now is really powerful, and with this, you get to just draw like I usually trigger this first so that I get that extra draw, and it just helps out a lot, honestly. But yeah, we run the 4. I have been kind of thinking of running a fifth egg, especially in matches where they kind of drag on longer, like against like security control, but I feel like this should be fine for now. Let's get into the level threes, the rookies. First, we run, of course, the 4 Huckmons from BT6 because BT6 is this version still really powerful. The fact that it can look at the top 5 cards and it can add up to 2 Digimon cards of Huckmon, Jesmon, or Sistermon. So this basically covers your entire deck except for maybe one of the rookies and maybe Gankumon, but that's about it. This basically can search your entire deck, so you have to max out on this guy. Plus, you know, he's a rookie. You can evolve on top of Guri, so very solid. Then we run 4 of the BT7 Huckmon, because this one, of course, when attacking once per turn, you can just reveal the top 5 and add all Sistermons. So this is really crucial to trigger after Guri, so that way you can have your Sistermon to play with either your Savior Huck or with your Jesmon's effect, or Genku in this case, since I run Genku now. And yeah, you have to max out on this one too, because you want to evolve and you want to build up your line as soon as possible. Then we run 2 Solarmon. Solarmon is mainly here as a way to stop Crossheart and Blue Flare. We do not have to worry about Crossheart anymore. As many of you know, the restricted and limited list for Digimon has hit X4, so the deck is essentially going to be, honestly, in my personal opinion, the deck will be crippled until possibly once BT11 comes out and we get the new support, then the deck will be able to come back because it will get X3 plus the new X7 and the new tamers that allow you to, equip something and then draw a card. So for now, until BT11, this basically stops any deck that does Digicross from basically going off hard enough, which is really good. You run 2 just so you'll see it consistently enough. And then the rest of the level 3s are the Sistermons. We run 2 of the Blancs from BT6 because this one, of course, turns all your Sistermons into blockers, and on play, it does draw you a card, so very solid. Then we have the 2 new Blancs, or, well, not really new anymore since we already have the X3 by this point. This one, of course, on play, you get to discard, and then you get to draw 2 cards, which helps you kind of cycle through your deck. And then all turns, if any, like, red or black Digimon were to be deleted, this can decoy for it. So basically, it protects your GX, it protects your Genku, it protects your Jesmon, it protects all of them. So really nice. This is basically all the rookies we run. It is kind of weird running only 10 red rookies and like 4 Sistermons, but honestly, with how this deck works now, this isn't really that big of a deal because these 2 will get you draws no matter what. So you can cycle through your deck fast enough so you don't brick basically if you brick into just Sistermon. So like I've had actual hands where I just didn't see a single Huckmon, but by playing this, I actually managed to fix my hand by getting a rookie. So really solid. But that actually does end up bringing our rookie count actually all the way up to 14, which is kind of a weird number, but honestly, this deck works fine with that. So I would say do it with the Sistermons, especially these ones. Run 2 and 2 because that way you don't brick yourself with multiple copies. 2 for every Sistermon at this point, I feel like is a standard for most Jesmon decks because you want to see them, but you don't want to see them all the time. You just want to see them when you need them, and 2 for each is, I feel like, the best number at the moment because you see them consistently. Anyway, let's get into the level 4s. First off, we run 4 of the old Bao Huckmon from BT6. This guy, honestly, even though he's still he's an older version of it, he still clutches matches. Like the fact that if in a mirror, this helps basically get rid of the Blanc that makes everything blocker. So if your opponent only has 1 Sistermon Blanc and did not play a second one, this will kill it and shut off all the blocker effects. So really powerful, and you have to run 4 of it because, you know, it is Bao Huckmon and it does evolve for 2, which is really nice. Then we run 4 of the new Bao Huckmon from the starter deck. This guy is really good, especially in conjunction with the level 6, because you can potentially boost it over certain Digimon by just enough to kill it, which is really nice. And this has actually saved me a couple times, especially against decks that run like Def X and other stuff. So that means like if they Def X me, I just go, okay, I'm gonna boost over your Def X and kill it. So it's like, oh, you wipe my board, but then I just make another Jesmon because all you did was put me to a Savior Huck and now I can do it again. So it just depends on what they do, honestly. But this has helped me push through a lot of level 7 Digimon very easily. But yeah, then the rest will be Sister Mons. We run 2 CLs. Finally managed to get 2 Alt Art CLs. Shout out to my friend Jason, who has helped me playtest in the past for finally trading me copies of this because I've been wanting Alt Arts for all the Sister Mons. This one, of course, is the old seal, the one that on play gains a memory, and then it also boosts 2,000. So in conjunction with this one, you can boost your Jesmon up by 3,000, and including its boost, you're basically boosting it up by 5,000, meaning your Jesmon or Genkumon X or GX will be hitting for at least 16 and above, which is really powerful because that basically gets over almost every Digimon in the game so far. So very strong. Then we run 2 of the new seal, which I also have alt arts. Shout out to my friend Wilbur and also my friend Brock for helping me get these. I got the first one from Wilbur because he pulled it, and then the second one I got from my friend Brock. Shout out to him for that because now I have a full set, which is really nice. But we run 2 of this. This one's really cool because in my previous video I mentioned this card is really crucial, and that's why I ran at 3. But with 3, I kind of started bricking a lot, so I brought it down to 2, and now with 2 it's very consistent. It doesn't brick me as much as it used to, and it's just really nice. The fact that it's like the main focus of this deck isn't to GX, it's to just kind of control your opponent's board, do a tempo kind of thing. So this helps with only when you have GX or if you have Jesmon X, basically. So if you have Jesmon X, go for it with this. But don't go for it if you're giving your opponent too much memory. The only reason I recommend going for X is if you want to swarm the board, and the fact that if you have the Jesmon on board, it's a 0 cost, so it's very solid to summon it, but do it at the exact moment. I got this advice specifically from a player that I played on Discord. I'm just gonna give him a shout out anyway. His Discord was it like Marty Love or something, but he actually helped me kind of fix this build a little bit, and he mentioned that the deck, you should not just rush into making a Jesmon and just kill one of their guys. You should look at the situation, see what Sistermon you need, see what you need to do, and then just kind of think it over. Like do your initial idea and then think like, hey, where does this put my opponent? Does it give them 5 memory? Or does it give them like 8 because you literally just evolved and then you did it again and gave them an extra? Or do you want to do this other play that leaves them at exactly 1 or maybe 2 memories so that they basically have to kind of counter through all that stuff? See, that's where you have to kind of be very careful with the sister mods, especially these two. Either you can gain a memory or you can evolve. Honestly, I would say like most of the time in most of my plays that I've been doing, I've been going for the memory gain because that way they have less memory to work with. And that's usually the best way to kind of keep your Jesmon or your Genkumon or whatever alive, depending on if certain effects are in motion at that point. But you have to be very careful with the Sistermons. But yeah, anyway, so basically we run 12 level 4s, and of course, the fact that 4 of them are white means that you can't evolve on them, but I feel like even with this, you still see these guys really consistently, so you don't really have an issue anymore with that, especially with how much you draw and search in this deck, so it's usually fine. Then let's go into level 5s. Oh wait, actually, no, never mind. Not the level 5s yet. Actually, we're running 13. I totally forgot about this seal. This is the seal also from the starter deck. This one on play reveals the top 3 cards of your deck. Very solid card. I've actually been able to search the missing piece for my evolution line like almost every time with this. Also, the fact is that this thing is really crucial in conjunction with your other level 6 because it does give them reboot. So that means they can't just swing through. They actually have to have the ability to attack unsuspended, which only very specific decks have, and most of that is usually red and black. So most of the time, if you're not playing against those, you should be fine, and this helps a lot. So yeah, we run the 13 level 4s, and now let's get into level 5s. We're running 4 of the new Savior Huck because it is literally a better version of the previous one, because now that the deck has access to Blitz, this basically allows you to play a second Sistermon, so essentially you're playing 2 Sistermons in one attack, and the fact that this on Digivolving lets you attack unsuspended, so you have access to that, and you just Blitz, and then you swing, you kill their dude, you summon more stuff, and then you kind of just gain back memory using like Seal or something or whatever, or the Evolution one, and then you just kind of just chill out, and they basically can't do anything for that turn, which is really nice. You absolutely have to run 4 because this helps you set up all your sister mons and it helps you attack unsuspended. So max this out. Don't run less than 4 for the love of God. If you do that, your deck is not going to function properly. Uh, then we run one of the old Savior Huck because, of course, it's still very powerful. It lets you play a Sistermon when Digivolving, and of course, it lets you unsuspend. So you can essentially give, like you can make it so they have to attack unsuspended. So makes that really hard for them. And of course, the fact that this did get limited because it was so powerful. So we still run the 1 copy just in case we don't draw this. Then we run 1 Chimera. I know some builds are running 2 or maybe more than that, like 3, but I feel like overindulging on Chimera means that you're kind of forced to have to do the level 4 Jogress. I usually do this as a last resort. Like there was a match where I had a GX out on the board and I had like 2 seals, and I was like, okay, I can't really do anything about this. So then I basically made 2. So I had 2 seals out, and then I Jogressed them, and then I equipped this Savior Huck, and then I evolved that into the Blitz one, and I managed to basically go through and like make more Sistermons to the point where I had, I think, like 7 or 8 of them on the board. So I basically had like 8 blockers in total, and I had multiple of the Blancs that grant blockers. So even if they got rid of one, I still had blocker on almost all of them. So I managed to basically stop all the attacks to the point where I had 0 security, and then next turn I got the game because of that. So Chimera, I feel, is only in certain situations, so that's why I'm keeping him at 1 for now. So as I mentioned, some builds run 2. Maybe in the future this might go to 2, but for now I feel 1 is perfectly fine. You don't always need to see him. What you need to see is these 4 or this one, basically. So I feel like you should focus on getting these. But yeah, we're only running actually 6 level 5s, but that's fine because, as I mentioned, searching and drawing, you get enough to basically see them no matter what. Then let's go into level 6s. I did reduce this down. I was running 4 of this, but now we're only running 3 copies. I was bricking a lot, and it actually was kind of freaking me out, and I just couldn't figure it out. But 3, I feel, is a really good ratio because that means you see them, but you don't always see them because sometimes you want to see like Genku or X or something like that. So this is really solid. And of course, his effects are broken. When Digivolving Blitz, when attacking, he gets to summon a Sistermon from your hand. And then if he does that, he basically gets plus 3,000 and security plus 1, so really strong. And then if you manage to play the seal that evolves, you can just evolve into Jesmon X, gain piercing, and still keep all these effects, so really cool. Then we run 2 Jesmon X's. Shout out again to my friend Brock for helping me get this because he pulled this for me. This X is only useful in certain situations, but it's the fact that on you still keep it in the deck at least at 2, because when Digivolving you get to basically play another Sistermon, and of course it has automatic piercing no matter what, and of course it gives all of your Digimon on the board the ability to attack unsuspended, including himself. So really powerful. If you don't get the other Savior Huck, which is very unlikely, but in certain situations you want to evolve this on top of your Jesmon to give everything the ability to attack unsuspended. So really strong. You have to still run at 2. I was running 3, but of course, as I mentioned, like with this, it bricked, so I had to change the ratios, and I feel 2 is much more solid. Then we run 2 Genku X. This guy, honestly, before I fixed the deck, thanks to my friend on Discord, this deck was not doing well, and I didn't even know. I didn't even understand how Genkumon X worked, honestly. Like, I read his effect, I think, like, once or twice, and, I just didn't really understand what he did. I mean, yeah, he became a blocker, he, like, protected your dudes, and that was it. But then after I reread it, I was like, oh, man, that's actually really busted. Because the fact is, when he Digivolves, you can play, of course, a Sistermon, but the thing is that all the Sistermons on board, basically, game plus 2,000, they can't be DP reduced, and they can't be bounced or returned back to the hand or deck. This basically protects like basically all of your board from almost everything except for Chaos Degrade. So basically, unless you're playing yellow purple, they literally cannot get rid of this, and that is insane because like after reading, I was like, dude, this guy is amazing. And then the fact that my friend Steven also pulled this Altart, shout out to him for pulling this. The fact that this card is so busted and I wasn't playing, I was like, okay, I have to at least try this at 2, maybe see how it works. And this guy honestly got me some of the games because I had just such a big blocker. I had 14,000 blocker. Sometimes I had 16 because of seal, but it's the fact that this guy, as a blocker, is so powerful that like your opponent just can't get through sometimes, and they can't get rid of it either. So it's just insane how good it is. And I'm actually kind of surprised I never like looked at it again because I was so focused on Jesmon, I didn't see that Genku could also do stuff too. But yeah, I'm super glad that this card is in the deck now because it honestly has won me games sometimes. It's helped me protect my board for a little bit, and even then, while I'm doing this, I can just build another source of Jesmon again, so really powerful. But yeah, you have to run at least 2. You can get away with 1, but I feel 2, you have to, like, the thing is with 1, you can't see it consistently enough, but with 2, you'll see it enough. And of course, I mean, like, look at that art, dude. Freaking Giga Chad, Genku X over here, so gotta run this guy. Anyway, that's all the level 6s. We run 5, 6, 7. We run exactly 7, so it's not too bad. It's only like 1 over the standard of 6, but, I feel like this works. For level 7, of course, we run the one and only Jesmon GX. Originally, in my previous build and some other builds I had been working on since then, I ran 2. But every time, I would just brick into this guy and I would just lose because of that. So I reduced it down to 1, and I feel 1 is a really good number for this guy because you don't want to see this early. You want to see it from drawing and other stuff. And almost in every match, I've been able to draw into him or search into him like every time, almost every single time, like 99% of the time. There's only been like 1 or few times where he was bottom deck, but even then, it's like I don't really care because my board was already really broken. This guy is basically just at this point, I feel he's just a win more button. He's really powerful and he does help you get over certain things, but you don't absolutely need him. So 1 is already good enough, and you see him often enough that you don't need to run more than 1. And when you see him, dude, you're just gonna go off. You're gonna destroy them basically because GX, his ability is just so broken because it lets you basically reactivate a Wind Digivolving effect, which means you basically get to play another Sistermon, and then right after that you get to Blitz, you get Piercing, you get Blocker, and Security +1 for each Royal Knight underneath him. So basically, no matter what, you're always going to be checking for 3 Security with Piercing, and if you have if you have this seal to reboot, you have what is it, like a 16,000, maybe a 15,000 blocker next turn that is just really hard to get rid of. And if you do it correctly, you pass them maybe only to 2 or 3 memories. So if they want to get rid of it, they really have to pay out the ass basically to get rid of this. So this guy's really busted, but at 1 is the perfect number. I've seen builds running 3, and I'm like, that's no, you're gonna be bricking all day, man. I don't trust that sometimes, I've tried it, it doesn't work for me, and I feel that this works a bit better because you want to be as efficient and fast as possible with this deck so that you just basically rush them, kill them, finish the game, and you're done. No need to let them do any of their plays, just kill them immediately, and that's what GX is there for. Anyway, that's all the Digimon for the deck, basically. The rest are options because this deck does not run any tamers because it really doesn't need them because of its own personal option card, which is 4 of the From Master to Disciple. This card is honestly really busted. You get to look at the top 3, and you get to just grab anything with Huck, Sistermon, or Royal Knight. So that means it gets to search itself because it has Royal Knight and its own traits. So basically, you get to search into this if it happens. But the main thing is that its delay effect is really busted because it basically allows you to reduce the Digivolution cost of a Royal Knight. So it's like you basically just get to make this for 3. You can make Jesmon for 3 as well, and you can occasionally make this 4 cost, so really solid. And the fact is, like, not many people are running the rookies that stop you from Digivolution cost. They're more worried about Digi-crossing. So this usually kind of just goes like, okay, cool, I get to activate, I get to reduce the cost. And then in conjunction with like the 1 red memory boost I run in this deck, you basically just get to make a guy for free, or you get to make them at a really, really reduced cost, maybe like one, and then you just go, okay, cool, I get to just go off and like kill your board. So you got to run four of this. This card is an absolute like staple of this deck, so you have to do it. Then we run two Guy Forces because occasionally you do want to delete something and you want to just kind of like do it really fast, like nothing else, just delete one of your opponent's Digimon. And of course, occasionally when you're playing against another OTK deck, this actually does help kill them, especially if they don't have protection. Especially Grandis. Grandis is like one of the worst matchups, and also Metal Garuru. Luckily, I didn't play any of those in the championship. But if I did, I would have been hoping for this to be in security to kill it. Surprisingly, I never had it in security once. I've been drawing this card way more than it being in the security, so really, it's whatever. Then we run two Delicate Plan because security control, Mastamon, any deck that can run Chaos Degrade or Flame Hellscythe or whatever, any options that hurt your deck, this card helps counter it and just completely shut it down. My copies are still the old, like, non-errated version, so it's like they say something completely different, but I know the effect is that it just stops option cards. And that's the main thing this card is there for, is to just kind of prevent your guy from getting Chaos Degraded. And actually, in the match against the Four Holy Dragon deck that my friend Jose was playing, almost every single, like both game one and two, his last check was a Chaos Degrade, and both times I had the Delicate Plan like popped already, so that way, um, no matter what, I wouldn't have been checking it. But if I had, I would have screwed up my whole board. So honestly, you have to run two of this card. It's a staple, I feel, in all red decks because security control is still there. Mastamon is still there. Any yellow purple deck or whatever, or just yellow in general, you need this card to shut off all their stuff, basically, if you're going to check for game. And then the last card of the deck is the red memory boost. Originally, I wasn't even running this because I had this, but there are moments where you actually just need to generically search a bunch of red cards. So I feel just having one helps out. So basically, you're running basically like five memory boosts in this case because this is essentially a memory boost, but it's more of a reduction boost. But at the same time, it's basically the same thing because it does the exact same thing almost. But yeah, you run one copy and then that's it. But yeah, this is my first place championship deck. Honestly, I feel like I got really lucky with this deck, but at the same time, a lot of the times, there was like one game where I just kind of bricked and I had to play out of it multiple times. And it's just with this deck, you have to be very cautious, but at the same time, you have to know when to move in. You have to be essentially you have to understand the deck a little bit more than normal because most people just understand this as okay, I'm going to make Jesmon, I'm going to swarm the deck, or I'm going to swarm my opponent, and I'm just going to set up my blockers and everything, and that's all you do. That's and then rush them next turn for game. It's not that simple because sometimes you can't do that. You have to kind of like work around what they have. Like let's say they already have a big dude, they have a board, so you have to figure out like okay, how do I get rid of all of his board and potentially well, most of his board if you can, and then maybe see what happens. But basically, the deck has, like, as I was playing this more lately, I noticed it has a very high ceiling. You have to know exactly how to tempo this deck. You have to wait for the proper moments. You have to just kind of chill. Sometimes you have to just sit here and raising, just kind of wait. Sometimes you have to because if not and you rush in, you basically just die. I've seen my friend Alex do that a lot. I Alex, if you're watching this, I'm sorry, man, but it's just sometimes you just don't rush it. You have to just play it cool, you know. And if you and if you do that, then I guarantee you're gonna win more with it because it's just. I've when I started playing this deck, I used to do that too. I used to just rush, like he's not the only one that's done it. I've done it. I know a bunch of other Jesmon players that's done it too. Um, it's just sometimes you just want to rush in, you're thinking like, oh yeah, I got this. I'm gonna kill his board and then he can't recover. But you know what? He can. So sometimes you just have to just wait. And I feel like waiting actually has won me games because then I had my stack and I could take care of their board much more efficiently because I drew maybe another card that helped me out. So just, take this deck and just practice. Practice, understand every effect. And I mean this understand every effect because I didn't even know what Genku X did for a while. And now I know, and I'm super glad I know because now I know he is busted as hell and I can see why people run him. So, like, know the deck, understand every effect, understand the combos where they work together, and you should be flourishing with this deck. You should be destroying people with this deck, honestly, because it's just so strong. Like, honestly, I feel this is even stronger than it used to be. Because back then it was the simple, like, oh, I go burr, I swing for 6, and I swing one more for game with Omni. That's it. But with this deck, you actually have to kind of like not just unga bunga everything. Basically, you have to actually do it the proper way, like every other deck has been doing aside from Jesmon. So I like that Jesmon has actually become, uh, or well, it hasn't really become something. It's just that it's managed to adapt to the format finally, which is really cool. Like it can adapt to every format, because no matter what, a red deck will always be good, because sometimes you just want to OTK your opponent and they can't do anything about it, and that's what this deck is now. It's probably one of the best decks that can do it aside from Gaiomon. So I highly recommend trying this deck out. This was my version. If you want to use my build, that's perfectly fine. Go for it, because this was kind of like a weird like spice version. I tried to figure out, like, I literally fit in the Gaia Force and the red memory boost like literally at like 2 a.m. in the morning. I'm not even joking. I fit it in at like 2 a.m. in the morning on Tuesday right before I went to work. So I was like completely fried, and yet I was like, you know what? This I'm gonna try it and see if it works. If it doesn't work, then whatever. I'll take it out and I lose. Whatever. But I managed to win. I secured my invite to nationals. So for anybody that's going to be there, who watches my channel, I'll see you there at nationals, and most likely I'll be either playing this or my Machine Dramon deck. So either way, I'll be having fun no matter what. So see you guys next time, and like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you thought of the deck, and yeah, see you.